Welcome to Selenium with Java October 21 batch online training session 5. So in the first two sessions I have covered a few important aspects from Selenium WebDriver, and in session 3 and 4 I have tried to cover the basics Java, different topics like different loops, what is variables, what is object, what is class, right, all this stuff. And today I will primarily try to cover the important aspects from the Java OOPS concept. So Java OOPS concept is nothing but the object oriented programming structures, where right there are primary four components is there, right? Inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction and encapsulation. So I'll cover inheritance, and as part of polymorphism I'll cover method overloading, method overriding, and some problem will be coming during method overriding. To overcome those things, I will show you the importance of super keyword, and definitely I will be giving you the walkthrough of the interface and abstract classes, and the importance of the three important keyword in Java: static, final and finally keyword. Okay, so I already mentioned Java. Whenever we are starting with any kind of object oriented programming language like just C++ also, Java is also, and the Python is also object oriented programming structure language, right? So whenever you will work on this language, as well as whenever you want to go for the interview, majority of the interviewer also will judge you your exposure on the OOPS concept, because this is very critical part, especially whenever I am talking about the Java, right? Collection, OOPS concept, multi-threading, these are the very crucial part which will be used in your real-time exposures, as well as whenever you will go for any other openings or any other kind of job opportunity, right? So interviewer will judge you definitely your depth knowledge on this aspect. Okay, so inheritance is one of the important OOPS concept. So in the terms inheritance, right, it signifies that it is inheriting something, means we will be reusing some of the features or some of the important aspect from the heredity wise, right? So just like us, right? So we have some grandfather, then father, and then we are the third generation here, right? So definitely, my father is also, everyone's. Most of the. My father is also getting some properties from my grandfather, and I am also getting some property from my grandfather and my father as well, right? So that's why some of the important key aspect is getting transferred from grandparent to parent to child level. So that is called inheritance. Okay. So using inheritance, we can definitely create classes that are built in upon existing classes. When we inherit from an existing classes, then definitely whatever we are defining in the parent classes or the grandparent classes, right, we can use them. So whatever we can use them, we can use, right, important variables, we can use important methods, and definitely in the child class we can add new more variable or new more methods. Okay, the class where the class member are getting inherited is called superclass, parent class or base class. So anyone can name with any of the name. Okay, someone can call the superclass, parent class or the base class, and the class to which we are trying to inherit the properties is termed as child class, subclass or derived class. Okay, whenever we will be inheriting, right, from the superclass to subclass, so from class to class level we will be using extends keyword. Similarly, in case it's the interface level, so it will be also extends keyword, but in case from the interface to class level we will be using implements keyword. So that is the basic equation you need to remember. Class to class inheritance will be possible with the help of extends keyword. Interface to interface, it will be also extends keyword, but from interface to class it will be implements keyword. So you can see I have tried to give some example like single inheritance and the multi-level inheritance. Single inheritance, definitely, like I am declaring a class A, right, and I am creating another class B, and in the class A, in case I am defining some of the important properties and I want to access them in the class B, then with the help of extends keyword I have to extend them. Multi-level inheritance also possible. Suppose say I am creating three class A, B and C, and class A is inheriting to class B and class B is inheriting to class C. So similarly, in the through class C I can access class B as well as class A, just like the parent grandparent equation. Okay, so that is called inheritance. So I am trying to show you in the real time experience how the inheritance is very very important in Java. So let's try to create a class here. So in the Selenium session 12 batch, October 21 batch, right, you already seen we have created the src folder, and src folder we have created a package called training, and in the training package, right, we can create multiple classes. So that is the simple thing. Right click on the package, click on the new and click on the classes. So I will be creating one class called session 5 class A. Okay, so I can use definitely public static void main in case I want to call some of the importance aspect in that particular class itself. Otherwise there is no need to use the main functions. Okay, let's try to add a few more variables and few more methods here in the class A, and let's try to understand the concept lying behind the terms called inheritance, right. So here in the class levels I can declare some variables, suppose say call integer a equal to suppose say 50, and I will be creating a class called, suppose a method called this is the access modifier public, this is the return type void, and suppose say I will be creating a method called add. Here I can give some variable, suppose say integer I comma integer j comma integer k. So I want to create a method called add. So this is the method syntax, right. So because I want to use SYSO method, so that is the reason return type will be void. Okay, so here I want to give SYSO and control spacebar, and then I will be adding these three variables I, j and k, and I will be printing it out whenever those will be accessed. These method will be accessed in the main method, right. Okay, so say if you want to give, or maybe you can create another variable here so that it will be easily you can sum it up. Integer I, j, k, l equal to the summation of I, j and k equal to I plus j plus k. So that is the another integer I am defining here, and here if you want to print something wording, you can mention it. Suppose say the sum of given variables are okay. So that is the part I want to print, and that result will be L variable. So I am concatenating with L. Okay, so that is the part I want to mention in the class A. Okay, I have defined one variables where I already mentioned the value, and I am just creating a new methods where I am passing the arguments, right, with which will be three different integer, and definitely I want to access in that main method. So what you need to do, you need to create a object here, right. So for the class, you already know that the relation between the class and object. So let's try to create an object here. So let's obj equal to new, that is the object, and if you want to access it now, obj a dot, you can see a, you can access it, or you can add method, right. Now if you want to access the method, you can definitely, you can see now you need to enter the different variable value. Okay, so I am passing suppose say 8, 10 and suppose say 15, and now if you want to print out the variables, if you want to use the SYSO method here, then SYSO method, and then I will be using that object obj a dot a, right. So that is the simple equation for any class. Okay, so I have created a class and I have defined one variables, I've defined one methods and I want to use them in the same method, sorry, same class. So that is a simple equation. You can see this is the summation is coming as 33, 10 plus 15 to 25 plus 8 33, and the variable a is coming as 50, whatever we have defined. Now let's try to create one more class.
Hello.
Yeah, yes.
Hello, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, there is a confusion for me. The sum of variable after comma. Why we use the plus symbol? Could you please?
Yeah, this is the concatenation sign, right? So with the help of that, I am getting only the variable value here, integer value. Okay, this is the simple concatenation sign. So I think whenever these are the string method, right? So using the concatenation
Yes,
sign, we
yes.
can call it, right? So simply that is the term I have given a space, that is the coming, this coming, and I am concatenating that part, the value here. Okay. Okay, so now let's try to create a new,
Thanks.
yeah,
And other thing is,
yes,
yes, the other thing is when we are calling from the object means session class 5 class A is equal to object A, then we are passing the value to the add means oh okay, I got it. After public void add under add there is okay, I got it. Thanks.
okay. So next I will be creating another class where I will try to derive that, I mean, we will try to establish the process for inheritance, right? Let's try to create one more class here. So session 5 class B, and here I can also consider that, use it. So here in that class, let's try to define one more variable called b. So I can, instead of integer, I can call one more variable called double, b equal to, suppose say given a double value. Okay, that's fine. Now let's try to access the class b. Let's create a new method, sorry, an object, objb equal to new. Okay. Now say if you want to access the variable, let's see, if you just press the object whatever you are creating and press dot button, you can see all the important variable or all the important method or whatever you want to use. You can see now b is only coming, only the b variable is coming where it is only defined in that particular class itself. That is the reason you are able to access it, but you are not able to access, right, the whatever variables or whatever method you have already written in the class A. So definitely it will not be possible, right? Okay. So that other class did not know any equation because we did not mention any equation. So definitely that particular class, right, will able to access only those attribute or those method or those variable whatever is already defined in the class, because there is no equation mentioned. So that is simply behaving the simple way. Even it does not matter on the specifically any kind of dependency on Java, the simple way it is behaving. Okay. Now so you can use that particular variable. So if you want to print it so you can see that you can just press simple object dot variable name. So definitely it will be working. If you want to run it, you can see. Okay, so it is coming properly. Now if I want to use that class, right, in the other class, so here the class A will be parent class and the class B where we are extending the class, it will be child class. So here class A is the parent class. Now we are I am extending the class, or we are want to inherit the properties of the class A to class B, right? So we need to use extends keyword. Okay, just now. Okay, now if you extend it, right, now if you press here that object and if you press dot, you can see here. Okay, you can see a variable is coming and the method also coming, add method, right? From where it is coming, you can see what is the return type for the method, void is the return type, and from where it is coming, it is coming from session 5 class A, and the other variable is also coming because it is a variable, you don't know, also return type is integer, and it is coming from session 5 class A. So as and when you are extending, means you already establishing, right, the properties of the inheritance. So that is the reason the child class is able to access all the properties of the parent class. Okay, so that is the beauty of inheritance. So now say I want to access that particular part, so I can give some value, suppose say 8, 90 and 2. Okay, and I want to access other variables, so I can print SOISO and then the object B dot a variable. Okay, it is coming from here. Now let's try to run it. Please be remember, inheritance is one way, from parent to child, but not from child to parent. It can be grandparent to child, but cannot be vice versa. It cannot be from child to parent or parent to grandparent. Okay, okay, now inheritance is working fine. Now if you want to access in the parent class, okay, with the help of that object whatever created, are you able to access the variable of the class B, whatever B variable you have declared? Let's try to press. No, B is not coming because it cannot be vice versa. Only it's a one-way communication, means from grandparent to parent and parent to child. Okay, let's try to create one more class, which is class C. Okay, so here I can define some string, say C equal to, I can give any value, say class, okay, any kind of value, say okay, so that's why I can define a string here. Now in that particular class I can create an object here, which will be object C. Now similar way, if you want to access any variables, it will be only visible that object whatever is defined in that class, right? So it is only coming. Now extends the class A, so you will be only able to access all the important details of the class A. Let's try to do it, only one thing, right? Let's try to extend A. Okay, now see here what is happening. So you will be able to access all the variable of class C as well as class A, but not class B. You can see B is not coming. Now here if you change it to B, right, so what happens? Because B is anyway extending class A, so whenever you are accessing class B or extending class B in the class C, so you are not only accessing all the variables or methods written for class B, as well as you can access all the details from the class A as well, because grandparent, parent and child, the relation is happening now. Okay, now if you press let's change it to C here, sorry, B already done. If you press dot, let's see, you can see B is coming, A and the method is coming, and C is coming. So that's why you can do the multi level inheritance. Okay, so single inheritance definitely possible, as well as the multi level inheritance is also possible. Okay, so grandparent, parent, child relation also possible. So that's why will be writing in one class, but if you want to access all the properties, all the methods, all the variable from that class, we have to use the extends keyword, through which we will be inheriting all the property from the parent class or the base class to the child class or the derived class, right?
Yeah, Arjun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So, say for example, class B is not extending to class A.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible class B to extend to both classes B and B and A?
Yeah, you can just single level inheritance, it will be, right? Suppose say in case you are not extending class B, sorry, that is not extending class A, class B is not extending, then here if you extending class B, only you are able to access class C and class B properties, but not the class A.
Yeah, so I'm saying like, is it possible like how you are extending to class in class C, you are extending to class B? Can one class extends two different classes at the same time?
Yeah, that is possible, that is possible. Suppose say here I want to extend is, suppose the class C, I can extend it, it's not be a problem. Here
No,
I,
not here. So I'm saying, can class C extend
no,
to
no, no, no.
class
Multiple inheritance is not possible in Java. Only the multi-level inheritance possible. That is multi-level.
Okay.
But multiple inheritance means multiple class at the same time. It is not possible in Java. Single inheritance and the multi-level inheritance is possible, but not multiple inheritance at the same
Okay, so
time.
is there a way
No,
that
no,
can
that is not
extend?
possible in Java. Okay,
No, I
multiple
said like, yeah, inheritance.
multiple inheritance is
Go ahead.
not possible in Java. Not possible. Only multi-level is possible, but
But
multiple is not possible.
yeah, no, I got you. What I'm saying, like, is there any other way if I want to access variables or objects of two different classes in a third class
No, no,
to
Java does not
extend?
support this. No,
Okay,
multiple, because multiple inheritance is strictly not possible in Java. So that is the no in Java. Java does not support this.
it is always need to be some kind of a sequential way.
Right, sequential way. Right, if you want to access them. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions from inheritance?
Yeah, one more. Uh, yeah, is it possible like here we extend class C,
Hmm.
okay, from class B. I mean, we extend the class B to class C, right?
Hmm.
So again, is it possible to extend
Yeah, right.
class C
Yeah, right.
and extend class C?
Yeah, I think so. Multiple is not possible, but multiple is possible. Suppose here, if you want to extend class C, it is possible. Okay, but multiple is not possible. So
Yeah,
suppose if
so
you want
class
to,
A can extend class C also.
yeah, right. Okay, you can see
So in that
no.
case, class
Uh,
A can
no.
access the variable of
If you already used it, it is not possible. It is already, relation is already exists, so you cannot be done in the vice versa. If you are not accessing it, then it can be done. You can see error message is coming. It is not allowing. The hierarchy of the tribe is inconsistent.
okay. It means yeah, I mean child's
Yeah,
property cannot be
right.
moved to the
I already mentioned that from the grandparent to parent, parent to child, but this cannot be done in the vice versa. In case it's already used. Suppose in case you are creating a new class, then that can be used easily, right? But in case of process is already established, relation is already established, you cannot revert it back to the different way, right? The reverse way.
yes, got the point. Like anyway, means we cannot do the multiple inheritance, but we can do the
But yeah,
multi-level
multi-level inheritance.
inheritance.
That is the reason I have mentioned multi-level
And
inheritance.
also, if any relationship is existed, like
Hmm.
from any class to any class extends,
Hmm.
but in that relationship we cannot go back.
Right. In case relationship is not established, then you can do whatever you want. But in case relationship is established, it cannot be done. Okay. The next one will be from the Polymorphism. So polymorphism is a I think German word or Greek word, right? So poly is nothing but poly means many and morphism means the form. So kind of many form, right? So if I want to give one simple example in the real time, okay. So suppose say you are a person, you are now taking training. So you are a student for me, right? And once the training is over, you will be interacting with the family member, right? So your dad will call you son, your wife or your wife can call you husband, right? Your sister can call you brother. Suppose say tomorrow morning again you are going to the market, so you are going for the shopping, right? So they will call you customer. If you go to the bank, they will call you customer. So that is that is kind of form, right? So you if one person is having the many form, so that is called the form, okay. So here polymorphism, right? So this is the concept by which we can perform a single action in different way, okay. So in the Java there are two type of polymorphisms available. One is compile time polymorphism, so which is nothing but the method overloading, and one is the runtime, which is nothing but the method overriding. So method overloading means you are just kind of changing your different. I mean definitely your variable, sorry, your objective will be same, but you are trying to do it your different way. So same person is working in different way, right? So that is the called method overloading, okay. So here suppose say if you want to perform same operations, right? Suppose say you are want to perform say suppose say add here, okay. So sometimes you have two variables, sometimes you have three variables, sometimes you have four variables, and variable types can change. Sometimes you are having only the integer, sometimes you can have the doubles, right? Sometimes you can have in the float. So that's why your schema or your structure is getting changed, but objective is still remain same. So that is called compile time polymorphism. Suppose say here I already defined a method called void, right? Let's try to create one more method, right, in the same class. So you can see immediately it is throwing error. Why it is error? Duplicate method, right? But say if you want to change it to two variable, okay, so you can see my error message immediately gone, right? So it is working, okay. Now say you will be here, error message again come, because these are the two same thing unique. So here I am changing it to double, and here also double, okay. Here also you need to change it to double. You can see error message gone. So that is called method overloading. So now if you want to access them, so one you already used, which is 3 integer. Now I will be accessing another one, which will be 2 integer dot add. You can see. So whatever will be selecting, you can see here I am just select 2 integer. So I will be giving 2 integers, suppose say 20 and 30. Next I want to call the double one, so I will be calling that one double. Now if you run it, so you, all the methods will be doing the summation only, but with different variables and different data type, right? So that is the basic difference. Signature, you are changing the signature here, right? So you can see first 33, second one is 50, and third one is summation of two double number, okay. So same method is working for different signature. So signature means you can either change data type or number of arguments and the type of argument, that is called signature here for the method, okay. Either you can change number of argument, means 2 to 4, 2 to 5, 2 to 3, or you can change the type of argument, means data type here. So that's why it will be behaving, So that is called compile time polymorphisms or method overloading. Then method overriding or runtime polymorphism. Okay. So you already see the parent class and the child class. So let's say the parent class and the child class is having a same method. Okay. So parent, suppose say I am in the parent class, I am calling a method, or maybe I am writing a method called eat, where parent is eating rice, and the child class I have the same method eat, because child also can eat at same time, right? So suppose you have a newborn baby, 2 years baby. Okay. So he or she will not eat normal chicken, fish, rice, all this stuff, right? But she will be having the baby food. Okay. So that is a simple example. But he or she also eating, and you are also eating. Okay. But whenever you want to access, but suppose you already extended, right? So you and your child is accessing all the eat class, but Java or any language will confuse whenever you are calling that eat method. So which thing it will consider, whether it will consider your food habit or fish, chicken, or rice, or the baby food. Okay. So that is runtime polymorphism. So your parent part will be discarded and child class will place into the pictures, or it will take the precedence. Okay. So that is called the runtime polymorphism. Okay. So if the child class has the same method as declared in the parent class, it is known as method overriding in Java. When a method in a subclass has the same name, same parameter or signature, and same return type, please be remembered, same name, same parameter or signature, and same return type as a method in its superclass, then the subclass is said to override the method in the superclass. Okay. So in case you are returning any constructor or method declared, the final cannot be overridden. So static method, if you define something as static, that cannot be overridden, right? And let's take here I will just writing a method similar way. Let's try to create a method here. Say public void eat. Or drink. Oh God. So drink, this is the method. Okay. So here output I want to give, say class A is drinking, copy, say. Okay. So that is the method I have called in the parent class, and this is supposed to be a child class. So here I am also declaring a method called drink. So here class B, which is the baby, is drinking, say, water. Okay. Now in the child class, right? So let's comment it out. It's for now. If you want to access that method drink, then what will happen? Dot drink. You can see here it is showing you suggestion also, session 5 class B, because it will only consider the child class. It will override the parent class, though in case same method is there with same return type, same signature, right? So it will override the parent class part. That is called method overriding. So it will take only the child class. So let's print it out. So it will not print the parent class properties or system, whatever we have mentioned in the SYSO method, but it will print the child class. So in case two methods, in case the parent class and the child class, you are establishing the process called inheritance, and in case they have same features, right, same method with same name, same return type, and the same variables, so it will discard the parent class, but it will consider the child class. So that is called method overriding. Okay. then the questions will come, right, how you can still take the parent class thing, right. So definitely I want to get the definitely child class part, and also as well as I want to take the parent class. Then how you can do it? Okay. So let's try to give you the example here. So that will be overcome with the help of super keyword. Okay. So super keyword in Java is a reference variable which is used to refer immediate parent class object. Okay. So whenever you create the instance of subclass, an instance of parent class is created implicitly which is referred by the super reference variable. Super keyword can be used at variable level, method level, as well as the constructor level. So that is a simple example I have given here. So suppose say this is the parent class animal class, where I have defined the name as animal name is the elephant, and another class dog, right, animal. So name is the bullet, right. So if you want to use a method, right, so you can one name you can variable you can access with the help of the variable, another you can for the parent class variable you can access with the help of the super method. So whenever you will be accessing, both your right child class and the parent class will be printed out. So that's why you can access both of them. Okay, let's try to do the same way. Let's here create a method here called drink new method, drink all. Okay, so one you can directly call the method drink here, so it will call the child class method, and if you want to access the parent class method, so you need to use super keyword dot drink. Okay, you can see here return type is still void, it is coming from class A. So that's why you can, with the help of super keyword, you can access the parent class property as well as the child class property for the same method. Now if you want to change it to drink all, you can see it will print you both. You can see class B, which is the child class, drinking water, is coming, and class A is drinking coffee, it is also coming with the help of super keyword from the parent class. So that is the one way. Now say I will be giving you one more example, right, with the help of constructor. So you know what is constructor, you already know, right. So constructor is nothing but the without a return type and the same name of the class, right. So let's create a constructor here. So that is the syntax here for the constructor. Okay, it will does not have a return type and it will be the same name as the method name. So here I want to print something. Okay, so say constructor of class A. Okay, now say similar way I will be creating a constructor for other class. So it will be class B. So you already know, right, whenever you will be creating constructor, you know as and when you will be creating the object, immediately it will be called, right. So this is the constructor. So definitely constructor name will not be same for the both class, but same convention we will be using. Let's try to comment it out and let's try to run it. So what will happen? So whenever you are running, right, the constructor, it will discard the parent part and it will only consider the child part. So constructor of A is still coming. Okay.
রিপোর্টটা কালকে দিবে ও আর পাখির জন্য ডিস্টার্ব আছে
Let's try to use super keyword here.
আমি এখন উপরে যাবো না সবাই
Let's try to run once more time. Okay. So actually, in case the both the same constructor name is there, so in case you are just trying to access them, okay, got it. So you have to use the super keyword, otherwise only the child class constructor will be coming. So here sometime name is different, so it might be not be a problem, but in case you are using that super keyword, so definitely it will give you the both the child and parent class attribute of the constructor as well. So similarly it can be work also for the variable. Okay, so suppose I already given the example for the variable here. So in case you want to access the variable for the parent class, you have to use the super dot the variable name. For the constructor, simply you will be using super, only super, and for the method you need to use super dot method name, and for the variable it will be super dot variable name. So that is the three different way, right? You can, with the help of super keyword, you can not only access variable as well as you can access constructor and you can access the method. Okay, so one important thing I will be showing you. So I already mentioned, right, that once the method called declared as final cannot be overridden. So in the main method here, just try to public final, just use the final key void ring. So you can see in the child class, immediately error message will be gone, coming, right? So if once you define something as final, it cannot be overridden. Okay, so overridden means the same signatures, right? Sorry, same name of the method or the variable in the both the parent class and the child class. So as and when you are declaring something, so parent class definitely shown error message will be not be there, because parent class is the parent, right? But parent properties a child is using, so that is the reason, right? So child is having the problem, so immediately error message is gone. Okay, you can see here suggestion is giving that either you remove that one, right? Remove final modifier from the parent class. So if you remove it, now error message will be resolved in the child class. Okay, similar way, once you define something called static, okay, it will also create problem. So once you define something static, it cannot be overridden. So if you go to the child class, you can see error message gone. So you need to remove it. You can see the instance method cannot override the static method from the parent class. So that are the some different aspects. Definitely Java will not allow if you also by mistakenly do something. So that is the Java different rule or syntax, you can say. So once if you want to do some overrides, right? So public method cannot be, sorry, I mean the static method cannot be overridden, final method also cannot be overridden.
Okay, Anand,
Yeah.
can you please provide some information on like why we use these keywords like static? And
Yeah. I'll be covering it. I'll be covering in the other sorry, in the last today's session, right? Static, final, finally.
Oh, okay, you had. Oh, okay, that's
Yeah. So whatever will be really important, especially for the automation testers, I'll be trying to cover everything. Okay. So definitely in Java there is a huge syllabus, but still. So right now I already created the sessions in focusing that, right, in the 30 hours, whatever really is important, I have tried to cover. Definitely apart from that there are a lot of things there. Okay. But in the 30 hour session, whatever I will be covered, those you can use 80 to 85% in your real time work. So for 30 hours, using 30 hours session, you can get the gist. But if you want to really, want to learn in depth the remaining 15%, so you have to invest 300 hours, because for this there is no syllabus. So as and when we will be working, we will be getting lot of challenges, and we need to invest time. So that is the reasons, that is the syllabus. Okay, suppose if you are giving some exam, right? So whatever they will be covering, you will get 80 to 90% common. But for the remaining 10% common, there is no boundary. So you have to invest another 10 times effort for the remaining 10%. So definitely those things will be only you will be getting it during the real time scenario. Okay, because definitely that will vary from project to project, or kind of customer to customer, all this stuff.
I
So-
have there's confusion on this, like when I should use static, when I should not.
Yeah, I'll be covering it. Yeah, with the previous session I already mentioned. Yeah, in the previous session I already mentioned, but still I'll be covering it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So in case you already having some doubt, just definitely go through the sessions. Abbas, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can go. Yeah. Go through the, and definitely I already mentioned I'll be creating. Sorry, I'll be conducting one-to-one session for maybe 1 hour to clarify in case you are having something. Definitely not be a problem. Okay. So any more question from the three topics, whatever has been covered so far? Alisha, Harpreet, Prabhat, every is this fine?
Yes, fine.
Okay, very good. Then the next one is abstraction. So from the name itself, abstraction, abstract, right? So means hiding something, hiding the implementation details, right? That is called abstraction. Suppose say you are using your mobile phone, right? Or you are using your mail. It can be Gmail, it can be your Microsoft mail, anything. Your personal email, your organization email, right? So whenever you are sending something mail, right, and the other person is receiving, whoever is in the to or CC, right? But do you know the implementation, how which logic they are working? No, you do not know. That is called hiding. So implementation is hidden to the user or end user, but you are able to do the objectives. Okay, so abstraction is a process of hiding implementation details and showing only functionality to the user. In another way, it shows important things to the user and hides internal details. So example already given. So abstraction focuses on what object does instead of how it does. A class which is declared with the abstract keyword is known as abstract class in the Java. It can have abstract and non-abstract methods, right? From the class to class, we can use the extends keyword. So I'll be creating one more class here. So class D, say, I am not using any public static method. Okay, so I'll be just writing some of the methods here. So I'll be declaring as first as abstract class. Okay, so how can I declare it? I'll be using abstract word before the class. So instead of public, I can use directly abstract class. Okay, and here I can create some method. Okay, so say I can copy something from the previous class here. So instead of writing new one, I'll be using the same way so you can understand it. So most of the time I'll be trying to give you some real-time exposure, a real-time example. So if you can remember those things, it will be very easiest way for you to recapture those things. So same thing, suppose say I'll be using it. and I will be creating another method called test. So here I will be defining as abstract method. Okay. So abstract method cannot have any body, right? So suppose say in case you are working something, okay, so you can give your idea to others but not the implementation details, right? So that your idea can be used by others but they can thought of kind of implementing in different way. Just see the vaccination for the corona, right? So definitely some vaccination came first by some company, so they know the vaccination came, but they want to, other company want to implement in different way, right? So you are getting the vaccinations, or other companies also using the terminology called vaccination, right, with the name of COVID vaccines, but they are implementing in different way. So other company, right, somehow just telling that is the part, but they are not giving the internal details. So that's why we can maintain the integrity. So other person will not able to access our code, but we are giving the method they can use, but they are not getting to know how we are using it, how they have implemented it. So that is the beauty of the abstraction. You can use them, but you can use based on your need, but not on the way they have other parent class or the parent party have design it, right? So this is the class. So I am defining one normal method, one abstract method. So this is the abstract class. Let's try to create one more class, which is E. Okay, so here I will be extending it, the class D. Okay, so you can see immediately some error message is coming. Okay, but this is not for the normal class. You already seen it, right? Whenever you are extending normal class to normal class, there is no error message was there. But whenever you are extending, right, from the abstract class to normal class, immediately you can see something is coming. So why something is coming? Because that abstract class is having some abstract method as well along with the non-abstract method. That is the reason, in case if you want to extend the abstract class which is containing some non-abstract method, you have to implement all the unimplemented abstract method in your child class, otherwise it will not allow you. So if you click on the, you can see it will give you suggestions. So you have to use all unimplemented methods, mean whatever abstract method you have defined in the abstract class. So immediately you can see it is getting added. Right? Now you can see to print something. Okay, suppose say from class D. You can remove the override, but it is Java suggestion is coming, you can remove it, no need problem, not be a problem. Now if you create an object here for the class E, now you can access both the method. Dot test will be coming and dot add will be coming. You can see both this coming. So that is the beauty of abstraction. Let's try to run it now. You can see it is coming, test method, and this is coming. So what is abstraction? What is abstract class? So abstract class, with the name you have to declare the class as abstract. Abstract class can have abstract and non-abstract method, both the thing, right? In case it is only considering abstract method, so if you extending into the other class, there will be no error. But in case you are having any abstract method, means it will not having any body. It is just having the name of the method, but it cannot have any body, right? So that is the abstract method. And if you just extending a class which is abstract in nature and it is having some abstract method, you have to implement, right, all the unimplemented methods, then only you can use. So if you want to implement the unimplemented method, you have to add the body of the method in the class where it is getting derived, or in the derived class, or in the child class. So that is the concept of abstraction. Then the next one is interface, because both are really synced. Yeah, let me complete the interface, then I will just answer your question. Okay, so because these are really synced, so then you will get more and more input. So what is interface and what is abstraction? So abstraction and interface is very, very kind of common part, okay, and definitely it has some differentiation. So abstract class can have abstract method as well as non-abstract method, but in interface can have only abstract method. It cannot have any non-abstract method in nature. All the interface method by default will be public and abstract. Static and final modifier will not be allowed for the interface method, right? Interface cannot be instantiated, right, and it does not contain any constructor. Instantiated means, suppose in case it is a class, right, you are able to create the object of the class, but for the interface you cannot create an object or instance because it cannot be instantiated. And I already mentioned, interface to interface you will be using extend keyword, but whenever you want to implement for the class, you need to use implements keyword, right? A class that implements an interface must implement all the methods declared in the interface. So I am giving you example of the importance of the interface. Why interface is required? Because for the interface you will not having any method body, because all the methods whichever you are defining will be 100% abstract in nature. Okay, so why it is required, right? So suppose say simple example is that, suppose say if you want to build a car, or if you want to build a vehicle, okay, so what the vehicle should require? It should require seat, it should require wheels, it should require engine, right, it should require some mirror, it should require some light. So all the important details you will be adding them as the unimplemented methods, so that whenever the class, suppose vehicle can be your truck, can be vehicle, bus can be vehicles, your car can be vehicle, bike can be vehicle, but those vehicle should definitely have all the properties whatever I mentioned, right? Bike also requires a seat, car also requires a seat, bus also requires a seat. Definitely every vehicle should have a engine. So I want to say that whatever will be required or whatever will be common in nature, you will be mentioning at the interface. So why it is required? So whenever any class, relevant class will be calling the interface, right, they have to implement all the unimplemented methods. So there is no chances of forgetting anything. So just think for that way. So suppose if you want to design a bike, right? So suppose say if you did not implement the light, and if you have created it, suppose I am giving simple example, okay, in the real time definitely. So Java thinks in that way. So if you mention that engine, seat, bike, light, mirror, right, all this stuff. So whenever you will be creating a bike, you have to definitely use those one. So it does not matter whether it's having 1 seat or 5 seat. It does not matter whether it has 1 engine or 5 engine, right? It does not matter whether it has 1 light or 10 light, but you have to implement it. So that is the concept of interface. So what is the difference between abstract class and interface? So abstract class will be using abstract keyword, but for the interface you need to use the interface, right? So interface will be 100% abstract in nature, whereas abstract class can have contain abstract and non-abstract method. So these are the different importance link and the important differences of the interfaces. Let me give you real-time example here in the, so that after that I will take any kind of question from the abstraction or the interface. So let's try to create an interface here. So just right click here, instead of class you can create an interface. If you click on the new, so you can see there is an option called interface. Okay, so here I will be creating interface called vehicle. Okay, public in nature. Okay, so you can see there is no main method is there, so you cannot instantiate the interface. So after the interface is created, right, you have to use different abstract method. You have to create different abstract method. So I will be creating, say, public, what is that, engine, public, it will be void, return type will void. So this is the abstract method, right? So suppose say after engine it should have some light, it should have some seat, right? After that wheel, okay, and gear. So these are the important properties for any vehicle. So whenever you want to clear any vehicle, so these are the things you need to implement it. So you can add few more things, whatever is really important for the vehicle. So that will be called as part of your abstract method. So whenever you are implementing that one, so you have to use them. Okay. Now let's create one more class. Suppose say bike. Okay. So how you can establish the inheritance with the or relations with class and interface? So you have to use implements keyword. Implements vehicle. Okay. Now you can see immediately error message is coming, right? So you can see you must need to implement all the unimplemented methods whatever is mentioned in the interface. Similar kind of the abstract class and the normal class relationship. So if you click on the, you can see you need to implement all unimplemented method. Okay, so immediately you can see everything is coming. Now you can give some body. So you can remove the override, or you can take it. I mean, you can keep it. Not be a problem. So suppose say SYSO. Suppose say 100 cc. Okay. So in case your normal bike, in case you are having some modern bike, it can be 300 cc, 200 something cc, like that. So so bike generally should 2 seat. So I'll be just trying to so bike should have 4 gear or 5 gear, whatever 6 gear is there. So you can mention it, right? Bike should have 2 wheels, right? You can just implement the methods structure here. Seat, the bike should have 2 seat. Light, bike should have 4 lights, say headlight, backlight, like that. You can, that's why you can write it your SOS method, or whatever you think, right? You can give more details to one front light, or backlight, to indicator, all this stuff, right? Now I already mentioned it, right? Now what happening? Okay, I need to remove override annotation. Okay, otherwise it is throwing some error.
যাবি না কাকে বলে যাচ্ছি চল উপরে যাবো চল উপরে যাবো চল দৌড় খুলে নিয়ে চল
Okay, so it is done. So all the methods body has been rewritten, right? Implemented. Now if you want to create a object here, suppose say I want to create a Honda bike, okay, or any kind of Royal Enfield, right? So I want to create a Royal Enfield, okay. So here CC will be maybe 300 cc, right? So your object name is Royal Enfield. Equal to new bike. Okay. Now with the help of Royal Enfield method, you can call all the methods here, right? You can see engine is coming, gear is coming, light is coming, seat is coming, wheel is coming. As well as you can add few more methods, right, as required. Suppose wheel, I am just adding. Apart from that, suppose say if you want to add something, right, okay, so suppose say you want to guard, add some leg guards, right, so I can add one more method apart from all the important method, abstract method, whatever is declared in the interface. So these are the additional thing. So these are the not the mandatory part, these are the optional part based on my customization, right? Suppose say I want to guard, leg guard, right? Bike engine, bike can add leg guard. Okay, okay, that's fine. Now if you want to call that one, right, so you can also call that one. So that is the difference, so that is the beauty of interface and the abstraction and the class. Okay, now if you run them, so definitely you will be getting all the desired output, because this is very important. So what is abstract class? So with the help of abstract keyword, you can define a class as abstract. Abstract class both have abstract and non-abstract method. In case it is having some abstract method, and if you want to implement in the other class, definitely some error message will be there, and if you want to extend them, so you have to implement all the unimplemented method. And for the interface, so you just specifying that what are the required thing I need to mention in the interface. So everything, all the methods will be abstract in nature, it will be 100% abstraction. Interface cannot be instantiated, and whenever you are using that interface in some class, you have to use the implement keyword, and after that you have to add implementation for the all the unimplemented method. But in the class derived class, you can add your own customized method as well. After that, if you add the body of the class, or sorry, body of the methods, right, then you can access them in your class. So that is the basic relationship between the abstraction, abstract class, abstract method, interface, and the derived class. Okay, any questions? I can take it up now.
Yes, sir. Can you go back to your code, please?
Hmm.
No, the code you are showing here.
Yeah. So you can see I have created a class called animal. Okay, and then
Not there,
okay,
in the Eclipse.
yeah.
So my question is, like, for example, if you go to that section 5 class where you go to the abstract class, void test, right? So for the void test, is the abstract class, we are not doing any body here.
No. That is the definition of the abstract method. Abstract
Yeah,
method
so
cannot be any body, only the class
Yeah.
return type,
Yeah.
on the method name return
We
type.
are not passing any body to this method text, right?
Hmm.
And then we are calling it
In the derived class, and where you are implementing the method body.
yeah. So my question is, what is the benefit of creating an abstract class? Because
Yeah, suppose say you, yeah, okay, yeah, complete the question first, yeah.
yes, so anywhere when, because we are not giving any method or any statements, when we are declaring that method in the abstract class,
Hmm.
whenever we are calling it into another class, every time we need to pass some, like you're just passing one system out
Yeah.
of printer and stuff.
Okay. Suppose say I'm just giving you some example here. Suppose you are the person, you are working in some company. So suppose say I am defining an abstract class for the employee, okay, and one method I am creating called employee name. One method I am calling as company name, which is both are non-abstract, and one method I am creating which is company employee salary, okay, which is abstract in nature, because I don't want to expose the salary, but I want to expose the company name and the employee name, right? So definitely both your employee name and your salary, your company name will be non-abstract method. So anyone can use it, anyone can see it, the implementation detail as well. But for the salary part, I will be only defining the salary term, so that they will just taking that salary, and definitely they will not get to know what is salary.
But when I'm extending to it, and like in this section 5 class E,
Hmm.
I'm going to pass information here, right?
Yeah, right, because that is my class. So I can definitely, I want to expose myself, right? Or because I am not exposing other way, right?
No, then how will you share it to others? What is the, like, when you are saying that you want to hide some information, you are creating an abstract class.
No, because what is the importance of the abstraction means you are taking something from some other company. That company don't want to give you the details, but they are passing the information. They are giving the name of their method, and you can use it as is, right?
Just name they are giving.
Yeah, right. They will be giving you the name or the details, but not the implementation, not the code. And you want to use them, you can customize it based on your benefit. So that is not their company headache.
No, so if they are just providing a name and I am putting everything there,
Hmm.
so that is something I am creating by myself, right? Just using the same name, how will add like value to it? I'm not understanding like what is the real time use of it is. Just for my understanding.
Yeah. Real time use is something called. I have already given one real time example in my blog. I mean in the LinkedIn. So just like kind of bank related stuff I have, I think, given here. Real time example, apart from that one I have given one, so I will just see that example and ping you. Okay, you guys, if you have, if you are having in my sorry,
Yeah, I'm on your LinkedIn. You can
not LinkedIn here. So in the Telegram I have posted. Somebody asked me that questions. I have posted it in the Telegram also.
Telegram I don't have.
Okay, okay.
WhatsApp.
Or in my LinkedIn. Suppose I forget that one. So anyway, I'll just ping you. Okay. Regarding that, I think Flipkart
I
something
don't know
related to
full
that. Yeah, yeah, no
Yeah, I
problem.
don't know full everyone.
Yeah, yes, that's
can
fine.
continue.
Yeah. So you are,
Possible, please let me
yeah, yeah, right. You are getting the context here, right?
Yeah, I got the context. I'm just trying to relate like how it will be implementing like in the real time world and how, because we are all professionals, right? We are
Yeah,
not
yeah, right,
students.
Okay, okay,
So
no
I'm
problem.
just trying to.
Okay. So any other persons, others, anyone having any questions? Prabhat, Abbas, Alisa, is it good? Are you able to understand it? Because this is very, very really critical, important one. OPS concept will be very, very important. Okay, and these are the basic three OPS concept you need to remember, and those will be used multiple times in your framework.
Understood a little bit, Ranjan, but what I mean, the real time use, right? So, if possible, can you please share the
Yeah, details. Yeah,
example
I'll be giving as
to
a one
WhatsApp?
example. Yeah, right. Yeah, no problem. So that's so example I have already given, but yeah, the real time one, another one I have already collected from some sites, and that one I can give
Like
it.
like he said, right? Like now actually, if we do the practice, we can create the abstract class, we can implement, and we can do all these things. But what is the use? If we use, we know that we can use the same method and all, and we can use using the same method, we can print something. Okay, like you gave the example of salary and all. Okay, we can print, okay, how much your salary, but internal features we cannot. We don't know.
Right.
So internal features already written in the some other class method, right? So these things overall we can understand, okay, but what is actually happening, if you could give some
Yeah,
real
sure.
time example, then
Okay.
maybe it will help. And also in that case we can see if this is the things
Yeah.
we have to do in that way.
Okay. So the remaining three parts is kind of. So let's go to that class A, or maybe I'll be creating a new class here. So the statics and non-static, I think I already covered. Still, I want to cover it because whenever I was creating the variable, right? So that different variable, static variable, class variable, and the normal local variable. So I have already discussed. Still, I want to let you know what is the importance of static keyword. So let's define some more variable here. Okay, integer a equal to 20, static.
Harlan, before you go to a variable, sometimes we use static keyword in front of classes as well, right? Or methods.
Yeah, not class.
Technical.
Method we can use it. I will let you know everything. Okay, static int or static double, d equal to say. Okay. So here I have one variable I have declared static, one is non-static. Okay. So I think static what do I need to use first? Okay. So if you want to use that static variable, so you can directly use it. Okay, let's see if it is working or not. Okay, if you run it, you can see immediately you can use it. So static means as in when you are declaring something as static, your memory allocation is happening immediately. That is the reason it can be accessible in that main functions without creating any object or instance. So that is the reason it is able to access it. But in case if you want to access A, so it will not allow you. You can see immediately error message is coming. So how can you use it? So you have to create an object or instance first, the non-static variable. Okay. Then with the help of the object, you can use the non-static variable. Now you can run it. You can see here. Okay, you can access it. So the static keyword in Java is used for the memory management mainly. We can apply Java static keyword with variable, method, class. The static keyword belongs to the class than an instance of the class. So whenever you are declaring this something as static, right, immediately, right, single copy of variable is created and shared among all objects at the class level. Okay, static variable is nothing but the global variable instead of local one. In case you are not defining something, so it will be local for that one, but in case you are defining something as static, it will be globally accessible within that class. Okay, so say I already given the example for the methods. Now say I will be creating some, sorry, for the variables I will be creating some method also. Public void sum. Okay, suppose say I want to add some integer a, integer b here. This y so. Okay, this is the method I am creating. One method I will be creating here. Okay, now so one method I have declared as void, sorry, static. So the static one, if I want to access it, right, so what I need to do, simply I can access it. Okay, now see, you can see 10 and 7 is multiplying, 7 is coming, but the non-static one, which is did not define static, you need to, if you want to access it, right, so suppose say add, so it will throw some error, okay, because that is not static. So you have to create an object or instance, after that you have to do this. So here if you just use that object dot, okay, after the object is created, if you use here obj dot, it will be not throwing any error. So that is the basic difference between the static and non-static, and after that I already mentioned, right, or sum, the method name is sum. So another one static is that in case your base class is static, right, so you cannot create the method overriding. So that is another one important aspect. Okay, so that basically for the static is used for dynamic memory allocation. So as and when you are defining something as static, immediately memory allocation will be happen, and that particular thing will be work as a global thing in that particular class. So you can directly access them without creating an object or instance. In case the variable or the method name is non-static, you have to create an object or methods first, and then you can create, or sorry, you can use them directly with the help of object or instance, whatever you have created for that particular class. Next one is final. Okay, so why final is required? Let give me first some simple example. So I'll be creating some variable here, suppose say integer I equal to 20. Then I am changing I equal to 30, I equal to 40, like that, I equal to 50. Okay. Then if you want to print the value of I, so can anyone tell me what is the value here? What value it should give printed? So it will take the last one, right? So though you are defining some value, but it will take the latest one. Okay, you can see this is coming as 50. Let's comment it out, this thing. Okay. So now your question is that, no, I have defining a variables, but I don't want to change the variable value. So how you will preventing it? Or you already created a base class and you have created a derived class, but you don't want to, right, change the derived class. Okay, I mean, you don't want to override some of the important aspects, I mean some of the important method. So you can also use the final keyword. Okay, so here in case you are defining something as final, so that value cannot be changed. You can see, as and when I am defining something as final, immediately it is throwing some error, because once something is defining as final, we cannot reassign the value. We can only reassign in case the variable is not final one. So if you are trying to change the value, you cannot do it. So Java will not allow you. Okay, so that is the beauty. Now you can see it's only one value, because you already defined the value as final, sorry, the variable type as final with the help of final modifier. Once you define something, some variable as final modifier, with the help of final modifier you can change it, right? So final keyword is used in different contexts. One is for changing in case you don't want to change any value, and other one is if any method you don't want to override it, or in class if you don't want to override any class, sorry, you don't want to inherit any class. So suppose say you are already having a class A, right? So you already inherited to the class B and class C, but I want to stop it, right? So public final class. So immediately see, you will be getting the error message in the class B and C. Okay. Class B, you can see it is error message, right? B and C, because the final class cannot be of inherited. You can see error message is gone in the class B. You can see the error message. So that's why if you want to, right, don't want to change the variable value, so you have to use final keyword. If you want to prevent a class to be inherited to the other class, you can use final in the base class. If you don't want to override a method to the derived class, so you have to use the final keyword. That is the basic three importance of the final keyword. Okay, I have tried to depict everything here. The last one is the Java finally block. So you already seen, right, the Java exceptions and how you can handle the exception with the help of try catch block, right? So let's try to open the session 4, where you already seen that Java try catch block. Okay, you can see this is the example I have tried to give in here, right? So let's try to copy paste it here. Okay, so this is the string define I am defining, which is nothing, no value is there, right, which is null. So definitely in case you want to access something, right, so you will be getting the error, right? And if you want to proceed with the remaining line of code. So you have to catch that particular exception and you have to handle it. So this is my first line of code, right? And this is my second line of code. And in the middle, sorry, this is my last line. In the middle, I have some written so many lines of code where, right, some exceptions might come, and that is the reason I am handling the exception, so that my remaining lines of code execution will be successful, right? So that is the reason you want to handle the you need to handle the any kind of exception. It can be arithmetic, it can be null pointer, other exception. So in case you handle it, definitely the exception will be thrown in the console, but it will not stop your execution for the remaining lines of code. Let's try to run it and let's see what is happening here. So your first lines of code will be displayed, your exception will be triggered, and your last line will be also displayed, right, how you executed. So that is the exception. But say here you already tried to handle the exception, but nothing is being there. Okay. So suppose say in case I have here null is there, that is the reason null point exception is coming. But say I have declared some size here, A, B, C, D. So exception will not be triggered because now string is having some length. So that null pointer exception will not be triggered because string is already having length and will display the length as 4, because this is the 4 key different alphabet you have character you have given, right? For the string you can see size is coming as 4, so no exception is coming. Then why finally keyword is important in Java in conjunction with the try catch blocks. So in the real time, in case you are having 1000 lines of code, right, and definitely it will sometimes not be possible to go through the code, but if you run them and in case the exception is not triggering, so you will not able to see whether any exception you have written or not, right? That is the reason if you associate the try catch block with the final statement, so it does not matter whether your exception is triggering or not, but your finally block will be always be executed. That is the beauty of the finally block. So finally block contains all the crucial statement that must be executed whether exception occurs or not. A finally block must be associated with the try block. You cannot use finally block with the try block, right? So in normal cases, whenever there is no exception in the try block, then the finally block is executed after the try block. However, when the exceptions occur, then the catch block is executed before the finally block. Okay. So let's try to associate some finally block. So what is the statement? So after the catch is handled, I can use the finally block. Okay, so that is the line you want to add it. Now say if you want to run it, you can see that is executed. So it does not matter whether your exception is happening or not, but in the real times if you add the try catch block surrounds or added finally block with the help of try catch block, so your finally block will be always executed whether your exception is coming or exception is not coming, it does not matter. If you now again if you change it to null, so you can see exception will be coming, but still your finally block will be executed, just like the do while statement, right? So it will be executed at least one time. So similarly, just finally block will always be executed to give you more information that some exceptions was there and you already handle it, like that. So that is the beauty of the finally block. You can see exceptions occurred, but still you can able to get the finally block result. Okay, in case exception does not occur, it does not matter, you can still get to know, right? So here if you want to change it with something called integer, or maybe if you want to divide something called 10 divided by 0, it will still behave in the same way. Okay, this is the arithmetic exception it will come. You can see arithmetic exception is coming. So I have already handled the exceptions, right? Suppose say now arithmetic exception will not be coming. Okay, so it will be give you the result as 5, 10 divided by 2, but still your finally block will be executed. So in the real times, in case you really know that something can happen, so definitely you need to handle the exception. Otherwise, your remaining lines of code will never be executed in case you did not handle the exceptions. And definitely you can add some final statement with your try catch block, so that it will be executed always to give you more information. So that is the different topics I have tried to cover today. I will be giving you one more times. So Java, there are 4 OPS concept: inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. Inheritance is the getting the property from the parent or grandparents, right? And definitely you have to use extents. So single inheritance and multi-level inheritance is possible, but not the multiple inheritance. And in the polymorphism, there are 2 types: method overloading and method overriding. Method overloading, right, it will be kind of signatures where you can change the number of argument or the type of argument, whereas method overriding, the parent and the child is having the same method, so it will override the parent methods, right? It will take the precedence of the child methods, and with the help of super keyword, if you still want to access the parent methods or parent variables or the constructor, you can use it. Abstraction is nothing but the hiding the implementation details to the users, right? So that abstract methods, abstract class can have abstract method as well as non-abstract method. In case it's abstract method, it cannot have any body, right? So interface is will be 100% abstract method in natures, right? And you can implement the interface to the class levels, right? Interface variable will be public, static, and final by default, right? So if you interface cannot be instantiated, right? And with the, if static means immediately memory allocation will be happen. So if in case you are declaring something as statics, the variable or the methods, you can directly access them in the class levels, right? You no need to create an object code instance for the class. And final keyword, primarily if you define some variables final, so it will stop you to change the value of the variable. In case you are defining something, some class as final, it cannot be inherited. In case you are adding some method as final, so it cannot be overridden, right? And finally block, its conjunction with the try catch block in case an exception is coming. I mean, if you want to handle the exception with the try catch block, and you can also add the finally block. So finally blocks will be executed always, right? It does not matter whether your exception is coming or not. In case exception is not coming, still will be executed. Okay, so that's all for today's session. Thank you.